Well, I guess many people will agree, Mr. President. We need the energy to grow the economy. And the President of those short while ago announcing that he's lifted the threshold for companies to produce their own power from 1 megawatts to 100 megawatts. This has come as a bit of a surprise that is much celebrated. And to give us a sense of its significance, I'm joined here on the Media View this hour by my fellow colleague here, my colleague, fellow eNCA as well, Devin Murugan from the Money Desk. What does this actually mean for the availability of power, making more power available to us here in South Africa? Currently, we're laboring under ongoing blackouts by Eskom.
Quickest way to answer that, Dan, is the fact that when you look at companies, farms or other bodies, they had a pent-up demand of about 5,000 megawatts of electricity. Now, the question is, how do you get that pent-up demand or pent-up availability onto a grid? Previously, the Energy Minister, Gwede Mantashe, announcing that, well, you could generate your own electricity, what they call embedded generation, but only up to 10 megawatts. Anything above that, you would require a license. Now, here's the kick. The point is, companies wouldn't venture into getting a license with 10 megawatts. It's just too tedious.
Yeah, didn't the mines want 50 megawatts at some point?
Indeed. But what we heard today from the President was after much of public consultation, discussion with the companies, there was indeed, and I can call it a surprise move, to increase that threshold to 100 megawatts. And already, just minutes after that announcement, I'm already seeing some reaction from business saying it's a surprise, we needed that. They call that very, very pleasant. It would mean now that after some time you would get power going onto the grid. They are allowed to even sell this, obviously with some regulation in place.
So what does it mean now? Does it mean we wake up in a couple of weeks' time, we have that available to us?
No, and I think Gwede Mantashe, the Minerals Minister, made that quite clear. He says that this involves, you don't just wake up and have a project readily available. There needs to be both. There needs to be connection to the grid. Although the licensing has been set at 100 megawatts, there are still permits that got to be discussed with NERSA. Municipalities are also involved. It's not going to happen overnight, but the key thing is we've got the door open for companies to put energy on the grid.
Yeah, but then that bureaucratic process of applying for permit, hopefully NERSA will facilitate it because it can elongate the process and further delay whatever might be available to be added to the grid.
Oh, no, absolutely indeed. But I think that the notion that the requirement now is 100 megawatts definitely does free up space. Can we just bring in the President to just explain and expand on that 100 megawatts? Because this is the thing that a lot of people have been speaking about. Here's the President.
Are today announcing a significant new step in further reforming our electricity sector towards achieving a stable and secure supply of energy. Following an extensive public consultation process and discussions within our own ranks in government and discussions between the Minister of Minerals, Energy and myself, and also a significant amount of technical work undertaken by the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, we will be amending Schedule 2 of the Electricity Regulation Act to increase the NERSA licensing threshold for embedded generation projects from 1 megawatt to 100 megawatts. This intervention reflects our determination to take the necessary action to achieve energy security and to reduce the impact of load shedding on businesses and households across the country.
Now, the President making that announcement very important. Now, we are clear that in the near future, he said in the short to medium term, some bold decisions had to be taken, move swiftly to address the challenges of power generation in South Africa. But he said this move, this reform is going to unlock significant investment as well in the generation capacity, in new generation capacity. I wonder how investors are receiving this surprise news.
If you look at the list of demands in terms of policy changes and investment fertility, let's call it that, of South Africa, top on that list was the secure energy supply that was necessary for investment. Brother Dan, you cannot put up a factory if your conveyor belts don't turn. And this is seen as, from what we few minutes, a huge and, as I said, a pleasant surprise by some of the commentators on the business front, because it simply means that that the businesses are given some leeway. So a positive in terms of investment here.
So nobody expected this announcement.
Certainly not that big amount at 100 megawatts. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Devin Murugan. He's, of course, from the eNCA Money Desk. Let's continue.